the world of electric, welcome to the MG ZS EV. This is the first EV for Quickshift.club, so I'm really excited and I think the car does deserve your viewership. Let's see how this car is. The front of the car has quite a lot of usage of chrome and it blends in really well with the DRLs of the headlight, which is a really neat integration by MG. Enough usage of chrome which Indians like, so MG has used that to its positive use as well. There is a skid plate to give it that crossover look, and there are no fog lights on both sides, which is a downer. I mean, you're paying 25 lakhs for this, so the least you could expect is maybe fog lights. One very interesting thing you'll notice is the green number plate. This is the highlight. This means it's an EV. Not much visible on the roads and it really stands out. People really look at you when you come with this car. It has green number plates. I think it looks really good, and overall it's a very neutral design, nothing striking, but overall it's a good looking car. The side profile of the car, and then it carries the same simplistic theme that the front has. Although there is much more going on the side, you've got a huge line that goes through the car. This badging is to show you that this is the electric version. This car is sold with a conventional petrol engine in other markets, soon to be launched in India. This is the electric one, so this lets you know that this is the electric one. There is chrome running around the car. There's usage of chrome on the door handles as well, which is a very thoughtful addition by MG. You've got this skid plate on the side to give it that crossover look, and you've got some nice 17-inch alloys which are also used for reducing drag, for increasing your efficiency and battery range. Again, very simplistic, but small touches like these go a long way by MG and very thoughtful additions in the car. The car again carries forward the very simplistic theme. Not much going on. You have one thick line across the tailgate. You've got some badging to tell you what car this is. So this is the ZS EV, a huge MG badge which also folds to open the boot. Then you have this a little slightly tacky internet inside badge which shows that this car has the connected car tech, similar with other MG cars as well. You've got the skid plate carrying on, and you've got functional rear fog lights. Again, you have the very fascinating and cool green number plate, and that's about it. You do have a very small spoiler sort of structure in the back, but that's it. It's a very simplistic, very basic rear end. You don't even have LEDs in the taillight. These are halogens, which look a little prehistoric. I mean, with a car that is associated with new tech and make it look so cool, maybe a few LEDs here would have looked really good. Get access to the boot. You flick open the MG logo and you get access to the 470 liter boot, which on paper might seem 470 liter, but the way it's carved out doesn't seem that spacious. But I'm pretty sure it can take luggage. You do have a donut spare tire in the wheel, and you maybe can put some more luggage because the wheel well is pretty deep. But yeah, that's about it. Then you get a kit which has the charger for the car, which you can plug to a normal wall socket, which takes 17 hours, but more on that later. The interiors of the ZS EV is again a mixed bag. Some of the trim that you will touch feels really well built. Some of the plastics you touch are not so well built. Some of the finishing on the top of the dashboard, the steering wheel and the center console feels really nice. However, I'm not a big fan of all these plastics around the dashboard. I'm not a big fan. Even the door trims have the same plastic. I'm not a big fan of. The steering wheel, when you look at it, it will instantly remind you of any Volkswagen model. It has the same flat bottom. It has, in fact, very eerily similar buttons, the same controls for the audios, for the MID toggles. It's very much the same. You have this very nice wooden finish, black wooden finish on the center console, and you have a center console which would remind you maybe of the Jaguars of the yesteryears. You have 3 buttons for the drive modes, the curves, different modes, and the battery range limit. One downer you will notice is that there is no auto AC, so you will have to control the AC manually, which is not cool at 25 lakhs. The 8-inch screen has a host of features. You can control everything. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's got its own built-in Gaana.com app. You can see how much range you have, and inbuilt navigation from TomTom, which is again not the best around, but if you do have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you won't need to use it. The touch response is decent, not the best, but it's decent. And one very thoughtful addition by MG is to provide physical buttons for the functions that you use very frequently, like the change of track, volume, mute, and selecting of source. It's a very useful addition by MG. Again, overall, it's a mixed bag, and I think you can get used to it. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me, at least. I mean, if I had to daily drive this car or drive it on a regular basis, I wouldn't mind the interior at all, because most of the things you touch and feel premium. But yes, maybe if you do say open the glove box and close it, frequently, you might not like it. I'm also not a particular fan of the cruise control stock. That doesn't feel very solid either. But again, as I said, it's a mixed bag, and you have lots of VW stuff, bits and pieces as well. Good job by MG. Could have been slightly better, but not a deal breaker for me. Themselves are really nice, all black theme inside with some white stitching, and it's a leather finish, and overall the seats themselves are really nice. I've been driving this car a lot in urban traffic, so I've been spending close to 3 to 4 hours on the road in city traffic in this car, and the seats have been holding me really well. They've got really good under thigh support and really good nice contours which hold you as well. The rear seat of the ZS EV, and it's actually not a bad place to be. You have quite a lot of leg room, and you've got a lot of headroom, and the headrest, overall the back seat height, and it's really good. I mean, it's not upright, it's not too laid back, it's just perfect. For my height, under thigh support could have been a little better, but again, not a deal breaker. It's really nice, and the seats themselves are really comfortable. Again, it's very airy. Again, the big panoramic sunroof does help in this case. It lends a lot of light, and it actually opens all the way to the back, at least the blinds, not the whole glass but the blinds, so it blends in a very airy look. Even though it's an all black theme, you don't feel claustrophobic. The windows themselves are pretty big as well, and overall again, it's a nice place to be. However, there is no equipment in the back at all. There are no AC vents. There is one USB charger port, which most might miss. They might not even capture it because it's so well hidden. There is no center armrest, so you have no place to rest your arm. You have to rest it on the door pad. But you do have seat pockets where you can store your knickknacks, and that's about it. There is literally nothing else. However, there's also 60-40 split, which is again a useful touch for putting long items in the boot. I'm behind the wheel of the ZS EV, and it's completely silent. There is no internal combustion engine to make noise or vibration. So you get in and you start the car, it's completely silent. You put the rotary knob into drive and you just set off, and that's it. It is just so peaceful. In fact, I don't even need to raise my volume. I can actually talk in a softer volume, and this mic will detect it because it's so soft and peaceful inside. Speaking of which, since the engine is so soft, you do hear more of wind noise, more of tire noise, again, which is not uncomfortable. So this car masks noise from the outside pretty well from that front. The rubber beadings are pretty well made. They block out the noise pretty well. When you get going, you realize that you don't actually have to push the throttle hard at all. You are probably, so there, instead of the RPM meter, there is a power reserve gauge, which shows how much power you're using at any given time. So right now, I've just let go of the throttle, and it goes below 0 because it has the regen braking. But if you can see, I put in a little bit of throttle, the power reserve goes up to under 40%, and I'm already up to 20-30. I'm barely touching the throttle. That's how instant the torque is. I mean, that's what electric vehicles are always known for, the instantaneous torque, and this is what you feel it in this car. It actually pulls so easily. I'm barely touching the throttle. I'm doing 40, 41. If I push a little bit more, I'm just doing 50. I'm easily, cruising around in city without actually needing to put the throttle down more than say 5 or 10%, which is astounding, to be honest. I don't think this can be done in any internally combustion engine car in this price bracket. It's so easy to drive. As you saw, I took that corner. The steering feel is top notch. I mean, something I really did not expect from this car. The steering feel is really good. The way it weighs up really well, and it's very direct, so you can actually throw this car around corners. You can actually have a lot of fun on the twisties, which is a big surprise. I honestly did not expect it at all. Which also comes to my next point, which is the ride. Even though I said this car is fun to drive, the steering is fun, I feel the suspension is not up to the mark with how the steering behaves. The steering works so well, but the suspension is completely opposite. It's very soft, and it does not want to be pushed at all. When you do take it over some bumps, there's a lot of vertical movement, and the car shakes a lot, which is not something I like particularly. But yeah, the steering feel is just top notch. I mean, really, this steering asks for a better chassis or a better suspension. Honestly, this car would have been so much fun to drive. It's just overall in this urban conditions, this car is it's a bliss to drive. You don't have to work hard. This has the regenerative braking, so you do have different modes for the regeneration. So if you put in the most aggressive level, you can just lift off the accelerator and it just reduces speed. It reuses that energy from the brakes and puts it back into the battery. So the energy is not wasted, and it's basically the one pedal drive they use for electric vehicles. This is not exactly one pedal drive, but it's as close as you can get to it in this price bracket. I mean, probably the only proper EV that has this feature is probably the EQC, and that costs like almost one CR rupees. But again, this as a just a hassle-free drive is just flawless. It's so good. It has a single gear, so all EVs have one gear. You don't have to change. It doesn't change. You don't feel any jerks. It's just constant surge. And I'm in normal mode right now. There's an eco mode which dulls down a little bit more for bumper to bumper traffic. You can use it to maximize range. And then there is sport mode, and you can feel and you can just pull. Oh, look at that instantaneous torque. And it's all silent. There's no noise, no vibrations, no nothing. You can just find an MC stretch and just floor it, and it just goes, and there's just this noise, and you're just way above the speed limit. That's how easy and accessible the power is. That's what I love about EVs. One thing I'm not sure about EVs, especially in this price bracket, is the range. Now MG, this is the pre-updated car, so MG claims about 340 kilometers. With the updated one, they have increased it to 400 kilometers plus. So in this particular car, it has claimed to about 340 kilometers. I've been getting a realistic to 70 to 80 kilometers, but in bumper to bumper traffic and all kinds of highway driving. So that's not bad. But I really wish it was a bit more, because I got it charged at the MG fast charging units they have at some showrooms they have, and it was about 1,000 rupees to charge, which isn't cheap for a 0 to 100%. Though it was a fast charger and it charged it in like a 1 hour. If you use the home charger they supply you with the car, it's going to take you 8 to 9 hours for a full charge. And if you use the wall socket charger, that's going to take you 17 to 18 hours. You do get the access to charge it anywhere, because you'll find a socket anywhere, but it'll take 17 to 18 hours, which is a big downer. So that needs to improve for EVs to succeed in India. But that's my only grouse with EVs. Otherwise, I've been living with this car for a while, and it's just such a bliss to drive in urban conditions. Honestly, it's probably the best mode of transport to daily, every day in traffic. It's just fantastic.
In conclusion then, the MG ZS EV. Well, it's an EV, so it's still pretty much a new tech in India. The infra is very much increasing, and it's getting much more accessible for many more people. Yes, the range is not as high in this car, but everything else makes up. I mean, the steering feel and the looks and the comfort is really high. Yes, the car also does not have essential features that you would expect at this price point, which this car is at 25 lakhs on road. I mean, it does not have auto AC, dual zone ACs, auto dimming mirrors, no rear armrest, no rear AC vents. But I don't think that's a deal breaker, because this car is currently a part of a revolution of electric vehicles in India. I mean, if they do well, this could start on a trend. I mean, with the increasing infra in India, it's only a bonus. I think this car is here to stay, and MG is very serious about the Indian market with regard to EVs. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.